Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the same flight path. To truly fly, you must risk the crash. Regret feels heavier than failure. Every forced landing taught her how to fly better next time. The sky doesn't remember your last fall, it only waits for your next flight. A dream worth chasing is a dream worth failing for. Failing means you're still in the sky. Stopping means you've given up the sky forever. Your limits are drawn by fear, not by the sky. Broken wings still teach you how to fly. What you do after failure decides who you become. She crashed, she failed, and then she tried again, even when she doubted. She dared. Calm doesn't come from the sky being clear, but from trusting your wings. She heard the winds of fear, but she listened more to the compass of hope. Above the clouds of doubt, there is always a sky of calm. Pressure reveals the shape of your courage. When the world roared, she learned to breathe deeper, not louder. Fear visited, but she never let it stay. In storms, panic crashes you, patience lands you. She found silence, even in the engine's roar. Success isn't flying without falling. It's rising each time you do. Resilience isn't built in calm weather, it's built in storms. True success isn't in applause. It's in daring to try again. She measured success not by miles flown, but by courage shown. Failure doesn't close the runway, fear does. Fall, learn, rise, fly again. That is resilience. She dared greatly, failed openly, and lived fully. Dreams tested by failure become stronger. Not weaker. Not trying is the only sure way to stay unsuccessful. The real flight is over your fears. She feared falling, but feared never flying even more. Every failure is proof that you tried. And every try keeps your dream alive. It wasn't that the skies were easy. It was that her spirit was unbreakable. True courage isn't shown in takeoff, but in choosing to try again after a crash. She understood the cost of a broken wing is far less than the cost of a buried dream. Calm isn't gifted by the world, it's built inside your heart. Fear can delay your flight, but it can't erase your sky. She didn't wait for certainty, she flew with hope as her co-pilot. Even the longest journey begins with doubting feet and a brave heart. Pressure melts some, it sharpens others. Failure is just turbulence, it shakes you, but it doesn't stop the plane. The bravest pilots are those who return to the sky after falling. Success is stitched together from threads of failure. Every scar from a failed flight tells a story of someone who dared. Not every flight ends in triumph, but every attempt writes history. Falling teaches your wings why rising matters. Dreams worth having are dreams worth failing for. You can't control the winds, but you can control your will to keep flying. Success isn't the absence of falls, it's the courage to rise. Dusty but determined, resilience is built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. True success is flying your course, even when the skies are empty of applause. The world remembers what you dared, not what you feared. The brave don't fly because they know they won't fail. They fly knowing they might. You can measure your dream by the number of times you stand back, up, fall, learn, fly again. Bravery is louder than doubt. Wings break, hearts mend, fear visits. Don't let it stay. Fail beautifully, rise bravely. Flight is born from doubt and daring. Wings don't promise safety, they promise possibility. Her greatness wasn't in never falling, but in never fearing the fall. Each forced landing became a chapter of greater courage. She traded certainty for sky and doubt for daring. Storms didn't stop her. They sculpted her spirit. She knew every risk, but believed every dream was worth it. Grounded moments taught her the value of flying free. The real loss isn't in falling short, it's in never trying to rise. The bravest hearts are those scarred by failure yet unbroken by fear. Calm was her silent answer to the sky's loud questions. Fear knocked, but faith opened the cockpit door. True calm isn't the absence of danger, it's the presence of trust. When the world trembled, she learned to steady her own breath. Courage often speaks in whispers. Even as engines roar, pressure reveals who is pretending to be brave and who truly is. Fear shrinks the sky, hope stretches it wide again. Real success isn't counted in trophies, but in scars that taught you to try again. The measure of a dreamer is the number of times they rise, not the number of times they fall. True resilience is stitched together by broken moments. Bravely mended, every setback became wind beneath stronger wings. She taught us, you don't have to win every flight to live an extraordinary life. Success whispers to the brave, one more try. Doubt grounded many. She chose to keep flying. Every failed flight added lift to her next takeoff. Fear can delay your journey, but it can't erase your sky. Her courage wasn't in flying once. It was in flying again after falling. Even the strongest wings were tested by storms. She didn't avoid failure. She invited it as part of flying. Hope fueled her engine when everything else ran low. The sky was never hers to own, but it was always hers to dare. She didn't live to avoid falling. She lived to taste flight. Failure was loud, but her will was louder. Asterisk. She met the storm outside with quiet inside. Her calm wasn't born of safety but of choice. In the cockpit of doubt, she chose steady hands. Calm isn't gifted by the sky, it's built by the soul. Engines roared, her heart whispered. Steady even when clouds hid the sun, she flew by faith. Fear circled her mind, calm kept it from landing. Success is not the applause you hear, but the silence you feel after trying bravely. She didn't chase fame, she chased the horizon, true. Success is built from risks you dared to take, not wins you happen to get. The value of a dream isn't measured by its safety, but by its courage. She failed publicly, but she lived fully. The bravest dreams live beyond the reach of certainty. Some measure success by records, she measured it by courage. Flying taught her the heart must travel further than the plane. She dared the skies not because they were safe, but because they were calling. Failure grounded her plane, but never her will. Storms made her cautious, but never silent. Every crash taught her where courage truly lives. Dreams tested by storms fly higher. Fear visits, but faith flies longer. The bravest paths end where maps fade. Falling breaks bones, quitting breaks spirit. She risked the sky to escape the ground. Calm wasn't found in clear skies, but in strong hands. Hope lifts heavier than wings. Even forced landings kept her closer to the sky than the fearful ever came. Not every flight must finish, every try must start. She flew because standing still felt worse. Better to be lost in daring than safe in doubt. The sky frightens some, it frees others. Wings built of courage don't break easily. She failed loudly, lived boldly, and left bravely. The measure of flight is the distance from your fears. Storms tested metal, but forged spirit. Dreams heavy with fear never leave the runway. Even broken wings remember the sky. Regret weighs more than 1,000 failures. Hope outflies doubt. Falling was a lesson, rising was the answer. She met turbulence with trust. Every scar told a story of trying again. Ground taught her to love flight more. Fear chained many to earth. She chose wings, she crashed, but refused to burn out. Failure wasn't her finish line. Even missing planes leave lasting maps. Hope writes longer stories than fear. The bravest step isn't off the ground, but off your doubts. Falling bruises, never flying breaks the heart. Sky belongs to those who risk losing it. Even silence of the last flight couldn't silence her spirit. Fear flies faster when you feed it, slower when you face it. Bravery begins where what if ends. She didn't wait for the sky to be safe, she flew when it called. Falling wasn't her greatest fear, never flying was. Every broken propeller taught her patience. Every crash taught her persistence. Her failures didn't ground her, they gave her new flight paths. She chased horizons, not guarantees. Calm doesn't mean there's no wind, it means trusting your wings. She knew the cost of daring was failure and paid it gladly. True bravery is rising after the world watched you fall. Every pilot meets fear, the bold make it a passenger, not a pilot. She learned to breathe steady. Even when the sky roared, fear shook her hands, purpose steadied them. You can't fly if you need every sky to be calm. She risked being lost, to find what it meant to live. Fear clipped many wings. Hope gave hers lift. Failure built the runway she took off from next. She didn't see failure as falling short. She saw it as flying further than those who never tried. A cracked wing can still remember the wind. She never promised she'd never fail, only that she'd never stop trying. Every forced landing rewrote her flight plan, not her dream. The bravest story isn't the flight that finished, but the one that launched again. She wasn't immune to falling, she was immune to quitting. Amelia's greatness wasn't her last flight, but every brave takeoff that came before it. She knew flight could fail her, but doubt would bury her. Each scar on her journey became a star that guided her next flight. The world saw danger in the clouds, she saw freedom beyond them. She lived for the sky, not the applause. Dreams that matter demand risk. She didn't conquer fear, she outflew it. Flying tall. Falling humbled her, rising defined her. Every setback whispered, still here, still flying. Hope built wings stronger than doubt could break. Failure didn't end her story, it deepened it. She feared safe silence more than loud mistakes. Sky welcomed those who dared storms. She didn't fly for victory, she flew for the chance. Regret felt heavier than any crash. She let fear visit, but never let it drive. Dreams that scare you shape you. Every bruise was proof she dared, fear waited. On the runway, she took off anyway. Hope turned crashes into courses. The ground was safe. The sky was worth it. Courage answered where maps ended. Storms tested her spirit. Never broke it, fear shouted. Hope whispered again. Every crack held a lesson. She crashed often, she quit never. Dreams with risk leave footprints, safe dreams leave none. She flew by compass, steered by heart. Falling bruised her body, quitting would bruise her soul. She dared skies others only watched. Hope mended what fear tore. She trusted wings built from doubt and daring. Fear kept many on earth, hope kept her aloft. The bravest words, one more try, falling proved she lived, rising proved she believed. Storms hid the sun, never her spirit, better broken wings than untried dreams. She didn't fear scars, she feared stillness. Courage outflew fear every dawn, she risked ending badly rather than never beginning. Every failed flight added lift to her heart, she faced clouds outside and doubt inside. Fear was her passenger, never her pilot. Hope kept her sky wide, she didn't fly to be seen. She flew to see, falling taught. Humility, flying taught strength, storms rode on metal, courage rode on spirit. She built wings from bruises, every setback drew her map braver, regret stayed on land. She chose sky. Fear visited at dawn, she answered with flight, hope fueled the longest miles. She dared risk over rest, dreams weigh nothing, fear makes them heavy. Falling changed her path, never her purpose, every scar whispered. Fly again, she chose wind over walls, failure threatened, courage prevailed. Sky asked questions, she answered with wings, hope outlasted the loudest storms. She feared never trying more than any crash. She turned panic into patience, dreams worth flying for survived the hardest landings. She counted tries, not triumphs, storms cleared vision, fear clouded it. Courage took off when maps ran out, she dared to fall so she could learn to rise. Every bruise deepened her story, fear lingered, faith led, bravest path has no guarantees, hope outflew fear's reach, she crashed often. She rose always.